For more than 6 decades, he's been royal family A-list. Feisty and often gaffe-prone, he's also known for being the Queen's fiercely loyal consort. Prince Philip turns 90 this Friday. His 60-odd years as a royal have been full of controversy, but many respect him for his blunt-talking wit and his sheer dedication to the job. Philip got engaged to Princess Elizabeth in July 1947, and they were married in November that year. Almost exactly 12 months later, Elizabeth gave birth to their first child, Charles. The couple went on to have 3 more children over the next 16 years. As a married man, Philip continued his naval career until 1951. But his life changed dramatically when Elizabeth's dad, King George, died. His wife became Queen a year later, and he was destined to spend his life walking one step behind her. Surprisingly for a man who grew up in a male-dominated world, he took to his stately duties with gusto and didn't seem to mind playing second fiddle to the Queen. But as her popularity increased, Philip's began to dwindle. Some of his views were also deemed a bit too old-fashioned by some sections of society, and over time he became famous for making gaffes. One such example came during a state visit to China, when he told some students from the UK visiting the country that if you stay here much longer, you'll be slitty-eyed. Some royalists liked Prince Philip for his dry wit and love of sport, but he was often the source of controversy. Critics were particularly anti what they called his cold and overbearing parenting style, which some say may have contributed to the breakdown of the marriages of Prince Charles, Princess Anne and Prince Andrew. In 1997, the royal family's popularity reached a low ebb. Following the death of Princess Diana, a poll suggested that only 32% of the public supported them. The Queen and Prince Philip celebrated their golden wedding anniversary that same year, and in a speech, Prince Philip alluded to some of the difficulties he had faced.
Like all families, we went through the full range of pleasures and tribulations of bringing up children. I'm naturally somewhat biased, but I think our children have done rather well under very different and difficult and demanding circumstances.
But despite their troubles, when the Queen celebrated her Golden Jubilee 5 years later, she paid special tribute to her husband.
All too often, I fear Prince Philip has had to listen to me speaking. Frequently, we have discussed my intended speech beforehand, and as you will imagine, his views have been expressed in a forthright manner. He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years. And I and his whole family, and this and many other countries, owe him a debt greater than he would ever claim, or we shall ever know.
Prince Philip changed very little in the 21st century. He continued to carry out a record number of public engagements and continued to make gaffes too.
And I just said that I worked in a club, and then he asked, oh, what, a strip club?
What did you say to that?
Obviously I said no. And then he said, oh, it's a bit too cold today anyway.
Over the last 10 years, Philip showed no signs of slowing down. Despite the ambiguities of his position, he's brought wit and unflagging energy to his role as consort. He's also helped to nurse the monarchy into the 21st century.